Hello, and welcome to the Love Life Connection podcast, a podcast for successful women who feel like they have it all except love. I'm your host, Veronica Grant, a love and life coach. And my only goal with this podcast is to inspire you to believe in yourself and that real love is possible for you, even in our swipe right, swipe left world. Hello, and welcome to a special mini-series on the Love Life Connection podcast that I'm hosting over the next couple of weeks, and it's called Dating in the Wild. So if you're vaxxed and waxed and ready for a fun summer, you're going to love the series. Okay, LOL about the wax part, but I have to tell you, I saw Becca Martinez, who was a contestant on Ari's season of The Bachelor a few years ago. I follow her on Instagram, and she posted a picture of herself at the airport getting ready to take her first post-COVID trip, and she captioned it vaxxed and waxed, and honestly, I thought it was the funniest thing. I'm not going to get into the politics of shaving or not shaving because, yes, there's a lot I could say about the patriarchy and beauty standards and female body hair, but okay, I'm digressing. This is a new mini-series about how to meet people IRL. Today is part 1, and we are talking about why meeting potential partners in IRL is easier than you think. And by the way, if you're anything older than a millennial or perhaps Gen X, IRL means in real life, basically off the apps. All right, so first, you know that I'm all about the deep work. I actually don't really care how you meet your partner, whether it's online or off. But I hear from so many people and clients that tell me they want to meet their partner organically. Now, I don't look down at the apps at all, but I think a lot of you all do. So I decided to create this series because I do want to support you meeting someone organically if that either A, feels like it's the best thing for you, or B, you're tired of sitting at home from the past year and a half and you want to get back out into the world. So let's get started. And first, I've got a quick story for you. So back in early 2016, in the early days of my business, I was leading a group coaching call inside the Dating Mindset Bootcamp, which is my first program that I ever put together. So if you were in it or remember me talking about it, shout out to the OGs. Anyways, during a call, someone asked me, Veronica, where do I meet great men? And for a hot minute, I felt like a deer in the headlights because the snarky part of me kind of wanted to say, everywhere. But after a breath, I realized that actually was the answer. So I said, great men are everywhere you are. Look, there's no secret app, bar, or hideout everyone is hanging out at and not telling you about. And if you're honest with yourself, I think you know this too. You know the reason you're not meeting great potential partners runs deeper than figuring out where the secret hideout is, or switching apps for the millionth time, or whatever. Now, you know me, I love the woo, but I also love the cold hard facts. So let's look at some numbers that I found while researching this series. And I think these numbers are going to be really interesting to you. And I think they're going to help you decide where you might want to put more or less of your time into. So according to the Knot 2019 Jewelry and Engagement Study, online dating was shown to be the number one way people met their spouses. Now, when I say it like that, that might sound like bad news. It might feel like, oh gosh, I mean, I have to stay swiping for all eternity or whatever. But I want to take a closer look at these numbers. So even though online dating is the number one way people met their partners, it still only encompasses 22% of newly engaged or married couples. So a close second came at 20%, which is people who met their spouses through their personal networks. So people that they know, acquaintances, friends, things like that. 17% of people met their partner at school, 13% through work, 11% through a bar, concert, or party, and 6% through a chance encounter. And I'm going to call this the rom-com way. You know, like sometimes you meet someone in a chat room who also ruins your small business, who can also somehow end up being your soulmate. You know, things like that happen in real life all the time. Actually, it's about 6% of the time. Anyways, okay. What this tells me is yes, online dating can be a highly effective way to meet someone. And even though it's the number one way people are meeting their spouses, almost 80% of people are still meeting their partners through various ways off the apps. And in this Dating in the Wild series, I really want to help you be in that 80%, if that's where you want to be. And in fact, as I was writing out the notes for this episode, I couldn't help but think, oh my gosh, 80, here we are again, the 80-20 rule. So if you aren't familiar with the 80-20 rule, I love this rule and I apply it to all areas of my life. So here's a definition that I found in Investopedia, and then I'll break it down into regular English. So according to Investopedia, the 80-20 rule maintains that 80% of outcomes come from 20% of causes, which means that 20% of what we do actually has the biggest impact in our lives. And a lot of us run like this. And when you think about it, it's like, wow, so like 1 out of 5 things that I do are the only things that actually matter in my life, whereas 80% of the things that I do don't actually have the outcome that I'm looking for. This is taught a lot in productivity and things like that. So what we really want to do is focus on, well, what are those things in the 20% and how can we actually spend more time in the 20% so that we can yield more of all the outcomes that are showing up in the 80%, right? So it's really a productivity thing. At least that's where I originally learned it. But I think we can look at this at all parts in my business. So let's look at this in dating. So how do we apply this to dating? If 80% of people are meeting their partner off the apps, I want you to ask yourself, where are you spending most of your time when it comes to dating? So if you're spending most of your dating efforts on online dating, then you're literally falling into the trap of the 80-20 rule. And so maybe it might be worth some of your time and your energy to focus on the things that might yield 80% of the effort. So things like meeting new friends who might know people, or meeting people through work, or asking for introductions, or other ways that you can meet people, quote unquote, in real life, IRL. So I do want to mention a study from Stanford that had a similar study from the Knot, and they reported that 39% of couples reported meeting each other online. Now, 2 things. Even if that number is more accurate, I don't know, maybe Stanford studies are more accurate than the Knot. I really don't know. It still suggests that the majority of couples are still meeting their partner offline. So maybe it's not quite the 80-20 rule. However, there's still lots of unrealized opportunity to meet someone if you're really just focusing on the apps. And the other thing I'll say about the Stanford study is that they surveyed couples, whereas the Knot studied couples who were either engaged or married. And that could be 2 different groups of people. You know what I mean? Like people who are engaged or married might have already, they might be more committed further down the line, all that kind of stuff. Whereas someone who was in the survey but just started dating someone, there might be some kind of marker about the longevity of a relationship that where you met the person online versus in real life. I don't know any of that. I'm just saying that, it's not totally like an apples to apples kind of comparison. But again, either way, there's lots and lots of opportunity to meet people off the apps. So again, your question is, what's the biggest challenge you have meeting people organically? Now, I know there can be real logistical hurdles like time or money, but I want you to dig deeper than that. I'm not saying those can't be very real problems, right? You may not have the money, nor if you even have the money, you may not want to spend the money on going out all the time, buying expensive drinks or concert tickets. I'm really much the same way. But of course, there's very easy ways to meet people that are free or very low cost, like joining a meetup group that revolves around hiking or a running group or, something like that. So send me a DM on Instagram. I'm Veronica E. Grant, or send me an email if you're not there, hello@veronicagrant.com, and tell me, what are some of the biggest challenges you have with meeting people organically? And I want you to think, what are some of the inner challenges, so challenges related to some blocks or some confidence issues, inner world stuff, and what are some of the outer world challenges? So the logistical things like time, money, not sure where to go, not sure where to meet people, things like that. I would love to hear from you, and make sure that you tune in to the rest of the series. I'll be dropping 4 episodes over the next couple of weeks. I think you're really going to love it. And by the way, next month, I'm hosting a brand new free challenge called the Serendipity Challenge. And the Serendipity Challenge, I'll teach you how to meet potential partners organically. As usual, I'll guide you through the inner and outer work to make that happen. For 5 days, I'll help you create more serendipity in your life so you can build community and in the process, make new friends and attract potential partners. It'll be so easy. I'll bet you'll surprise yourself. And don't worry, while creating serendipity is ultimately about manifesting, I'm not teaching you toxic law of attraction tactics. If that perked your ears up, I'll be talking a lot more about this, especially in the final workshop that we'll do at the end of the challenge, where I'll teach you how to manifest without the law of attraction. More details on that when you sign up. So if you're ready to get offline and back into the wild, this is the perfect thing to do. I'll help you get reacquainted with quote unquote normal life, and I'll support you as nerves or anxiety pop up as you take small steps to get outside of your comfort zone and meet someone in the wild. It's totally free, and you can sign up for the Serendipity Challenge at veronicagrant.com/serendipity. Plus, as soon as you sign up, I'll send you 25 plus ways to meet people off the apps. And my favorite way is number 26. It's totally free, and you can sign up at veronicagrant.com/serendipity. Thanks for listening to the Love Life Connection podcast. You can find the show notes for this episode at veronicagrant.com/podcast. And that's also the place you can sign up to be coached by me here on the show. And if you love this podcast, please leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps more incredible women like you find this show and find real love. Until next time, remember, wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. You're not broken and you don't need to be fixed. Just because you've never had the relationship you want before doesn't mean you can't have it now.